everybody, welcome to my next movie review. In this movie review and the next movie review, I'm going to be kind of talking about some Halloween related movies. In this movie review, I'm going to be talking about the movie called Children of the Damned. It stars Christopher Reeve and Kristie. This movie was filmed in 1995 before Reeve had his horse accident that May, and Christopher Reeve in this movie was just fine. I mean, he was not handicapped. He could walk around, and he was 100% fine from what I could tell, and he wasn't confined to a wheelchair. I could only get like 15 minutes into this movie because it just, you know, all it was is like the first several minutes of the movie was like scenery, nobody talking, you know, nobody saying, well, you know, this happened, or, you know, like for example in Tank Girl, she said, you know, listen up, you know, I'm only telling you this once because I'm not bedtime story ladies to pay attention, or something like that, you know, like with them talking, you know, it's just all like music. I mean, I could understand that with like, say, The Sound of Music or something, but I just, you know, couldn't pay attention with it. And once it started showing like Christopher Reeves and like his movie wife, my attention span was just shot, you know. I mean, the other thing is I kept thinking about this was like the last movie Christopher Reeve made before his accident, and I just was not in the mood to watch him getting frisky with somebody in a movie. And I mean, it made me think of the Christina Aguilera Cher movie named Burlesque that I reviewed a while back on this channel. I mean, I just really had a problem with, you know, the fact that I kept thinking about, like, you know, this was before Christopher Reeve had his accident, and I just really did not want, they were getting pretty frisky, you know, in the movie. And, I mean, I, you know, have gotten mad and called Christopher Reeve a quote-unquote talking head in a wheelchair. Tony, and I'm not saying that to bash handicapped people or bash Christopher Reeve's memory. What that is just, that's the way I remember him, is, you know, he just really couldn't even blow his own nose, you know. He had to have somebody doing everything for him, you know. He even had to be on a respirator. I mean, he couldn't breathe for himself. I mean, you know, I felt so bad for him, and that's how I remember him outside of the Superman movies, you know. And whenever I watch the Superman movies, you know, I just wish he had ended his life, you know, like that, where he was normal. And that's the problem I had with this movie, was I just couldn't watch it because that's all I could think about was, you know, that's not how he ended his life. And I mean, it just bugged me. I mean, you know, I mean, I probably would have watched it all the way through if it hadn't been for that. But, you know, it's, yeah, almost, and on the same note, it's almost like watching, like, say, Cocktail, where, you know, with Tom Cruise, or like, you know, the Crocodile Dundee movies, you know, it shows the trade centers, or if you're paying attention, you know, the Freddy Krueger version of, like, Phantom of the Opera, you know, or any of those movies that show New York City, like in the 1980s, 1990s, or even, as a matter of fact, Gangs of New York, which was the last movie shot in New York City before the World Trade Centers were hit by the planes and then collapsed. You know, that's, you know, how I feel about Christopher Reeves. It's like, you know, it's like, you know how he ends up and everything, and just like you think about it and it distracts you. That was what my problem was with this movie, is I just saw him and I just was like, I can't, you know, seeing the date or the year that this movie was released, I just couldn't watch it, and I just turned it off, and I was like, I can't do this, I'm sorry. You know, I mean, I'm sure it's a good movie, you know, Children of the Damned, or it's scary or whatever. It's just, you know, it's like I said, it's like one of those before movies where it's like, you know, this is the last movie he or she made before this happened, you know, and that was what my hang-up was. Well, anyway, I'm going to pause here because I have another movie review to make, and, you know, we'll get talking about it, okay? So hang on.